What is up? Hold on 1 second. Share screen. Um, oh, I know I'm hearing myself. Okay. What is Gucci? I'm gonna play a little music. Play a little. So we are live. What's happening? Right. Let me just make sure. Yo. My volume is good. Right? You know what I'm saying? Hold on. This is the first video I'm doing. Why is there a little thing down there? Is OBS open? Unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Why is it showing a little thing at the bottom? I'm confused. Oh my god. I'm so confused. Now we exited. That should be good enough. I'm so confused. All right. Anyway. So, I got to get that thing out of there, which I'll figure it out. Why is that there? Why is that there? Unbelievable. Do me a solid. I don't want the webcam on. No. And it's just there for some reason. Take that away, please. Oh man, hold on 1 second, guys. Just gotta fix this shit. Fine. I don't know why that's there. It's bothering me. But I'm gonna have to move on. You know what I'm saying? This music's a little hype, too hype. All right, it's done. All right. Oh yeah, let me share this shit. Yeah. Share on the Reddit. On my shit. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? All right. So sharing the link on Reddit real quick. You know what I'm saying? No. Where is it? Where's my boy? My boy. I miss my boy. All right. Now we got to talk about you. I got to stop doing this shit. My bad, guys. You know, I'm a little new to things. Cut me some slack. You know what I'm saying? Control V. All right. And we are live. All right. So, hope everybody's chilling, having a good day. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. I got to figure out how to fix this freaking little box thing in the bottom. Someone who is watching can help me with that. That'd be nice. I don't know. I do not know. Let me just make sure I can hear myself. Well, I'm very loud. My bad, guys. Let's see how that's. Is that better? How's that? How's that? How's that? How's that? How's that? How's that? Okay. what a crazy start. That's OBS, I know, obviously, and I can't get rid of it for some reason. All right, so we're just gonna start because you could see it. You just need to see the tears. All right. So, by the way, everybody, my name is Chris or Dreadcast Gaming here. Uh, you know, feel free to. I know asking at the beginning is crazy, but I'm gonna be doing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, a lot of gaming content. I stream on Twitch all the time. You could go check out my Twitch um, link. It's in the description here on YouTube. All the names are the same: Dreadcast Gaming. So Dreadcast Gaming, that is for Twitch, and for Twitter is Dread_cast. I'm also on Reddit, so you can find me in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. Because honestly, I've been getting hooked to Yu-Gi-Oh lately. Like it's just been fun lately. And this video is to do two things. Well, first of all, I've been trying to look at a lot of tier lists, and who doesn't like tier lists, especially for Yu-Gi-Oh. I feel like it's great content, and this is my first video. So, and by no means am I an expert at the game. I know the game well. I play pretty competitively. I play in Diamond, low Diamond right now. But I'll tell you how I got there, and because you might be like, oh, he's only a Diamond 5, but I won like 8 in a row with Umi Control to make Diamond, by the way. But we'll get into that. This is a tier list, of course, for everybody, but also I do want to sort of a soft guide on what to look for if you're like a new player, if not a brand new player, maybe, because I would suggest for guidance, look things up and watch a lot of videos. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that I like, that I watch, and that's how I learned the game, through guys like Loiza, who's a big dark magician. He does all dark magician content, does crazy builds. He's been around for a while. You have MBT. He does like TCG stuff, Cali Effect, Top Deck TJ. All these guys are great. A lot of them are TCG, actually, because I do like to know what's going on there. But if you look up tier lists, there's not a ton of tier lists for Master Duel meta. And even just in general, the tier lists out there right now, it seems like people are trying to do short form videos that aren't really, I don't know, they're not, there's just not enough decks, right? There's just not enough decks in the profile. I don't know. I feel like I feel like it's very it's I get it. You want to make a 20, 30 minute video. You don't want to make it too long. Um, you don't want to go too in depth and make it like a 2 hour long video. And I'm not that long, but I'm looking to make it pretty long. Because I think it's yeah, sure. Top 20 decks is what I'm seeing. Like people put up the top 20 decks. Master Duel Central is another one I watch. He did one recently for Master Duel, which was great because a lot of times it's a lot of TCG stuff. And if you're playing just Master Duel, you want to know the Master Duel stuff. So I think um, I think that you gotta you need more, especially for new players, like players who just want to do a different deck. Maybe see where a deck that they play, maybe they don't one of the top 15, 20 decks or so, or even 25. There's a lot of decks out there that are viable, that are at least viable. And I think that this should help because, like, I have 60 decks here. 60 decks. Um, so I just want to see something real quick. I'm testing stuff out, try to get that thing out of the corner. Is it gone? It is not gone. It's stuck there, and I don't know why. It's the oddest thing. Like I'm not using my webcam. Yes, I can, if need be, but that's just annoying. Yeah, why is that there? Maybe that'll fix the problem. Let's see. So back to the TLS. Let's just do it. All right. So yeah, there's going to be some guidance. There's going to be just a lot of decks here, a lot of different archetypes, and that's the thing about you. First of all, 60 is not the total amount that we're dealing with. Okay, we're dealing with way more decks than that. There's way more archetypes than that, but to be honest, 60 is a little pushing it. I feel like that's a lot. I'll scroll down here so you can see, like, these are the 60 decks I have here. Take a look, see if you could guess them all. Play a little game with yourself. But and I'll be up front with you right away here. Like, first of all, a lot of these decks, probably even the bottom like 20, are not going to be that viable. Uh, I just put 60 because there's some anime decks. There's some decks that I've seen playing in the last 4 months. I've been playing nonstop, like I said, and within platinum and diamond, at least, these are the decks I've been seeing. And now we have a huge meta shift, and this is going to be very crucial to the game. Because tier 0, tier limits, I really didn't want to do well, first of all, it's my first video doing Yu-Gi-Oh stuff here on YouTube, and mostly I just stream and I play my games. I show some replays, but now, I've been itching to do a tier list because I'm at the point now where I think I really know the game well. And for a lot of you new players, I know it's scary. It's a lot of the barrier to entry is ridiculous. Let's be honest. It's a tough barrier to entry. I even stopped playing after playing Master Duel when it first came out, and I used to play when I was younger. But when it first came out, I played it for a while. I played it for like 5 months, but I was also playing other games, and I messed up a lot. I didn't look up things. I didn't use, I didn't have any guidance. I just literally went with the flow. I thought it was like more like Magic the Gathering, where I can make like all these wacky decks with all different types of cards. But when you build a deck in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's archetypes. You need to use specific archetypes. You can use hybrids. You could do a lot of variety of things, but you can't just willy-nilly just put random cards into a deck and make it at least playable. It's actually unplayable. It's just not playable. So, yeah, it's a big barrier to entry. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of card readings and rulings that are all just very nuanced, I'd say. So, but don't let that discourage you. It took me 3 or 4 months to grasp the game, really. And mind you, I was playing Dark Magician for almost that entire time, not knowing that there's so many better decks out there. Dark Magician is not a good deck, and especially with Telements out now. I mean, it's like dead, right? Um, but before that, I was playing for a while. And by the way, I took off for a good 4 or 5 months because, like I said, the barrier to entry was tough. It was starting to get stale for me. I was playing literally one deck, Dark Magician. I did make a Cyber Dragons deck, but I also couldn't find success with that. I remember when I first started, I made a Synchron deck, and that deck takes a lot of good piloting, and it's a tough deck to make it your starter deck. So I learned the game the wrong way. I wasted a lot of my gems and my UR crafting points, and I kind of faded out. But then I came back right before the TLS meta, which was not smart. So like early March, basically right after the Shizu cards came out, and ever since I've been freaking hooked. And I think it's because, and this is where the barrier entry is. It's like the game is so hard to learn on its own, and then trying to learn a deck and how it plays and deck building. I mean, these are all skills, and they take a lot of effort and a lot of knowledge. And obviously, you got to look stuff up too. You have to, but you could be creative with it, and it's just to know and then you got to know all the other decks. I mean, if there's any game in the world that the word meta is more useful for, is it's this game. Like, meta is truly a word that has to be said about Yu-Gi-Oh, because meta means everything. Context is everything, and that's just the way it is, because you have all these different strategies and archetypes, which makes it really fun and really cool. And when you have a really balanced meta, which I feel like we're starting to get into, okay, when I came back during the Ishizu meta, when the Ishizu cards came out, that was a good meta. That was like Sprite, Math Mech, Sword Soul, of course, is always very good. There's a few. There's I feel like there was a few more than that, but you get the idea. Like Exorcisters, I guess, was good, and you had a couple more, but that's a tier 1 meta. And as you see here on my tier list, let's go through them. You have tier 1, meta defining. Now, tier 0 is another thing, and that's what we were in for the last 2 months. Since early April, when the Telements cards came out, till now, till this newest selection pack and newest ban list, where they hit terraforming. By the way, horrible, horrible hit, Konami. Never hit. Well, why would you hit terraform? Like, why? The rogue decks, we need terraforming if we're playing rogue decks. You can't do that to us when Telements is already completely cracked and toxic. Just doesn't make sense. So anyway, even still, the ban list does still hurt them in that sense, and it also it was the Bestials. So we had the new selection pack with the Bestials and everything, and that is really what I think is going to hurt Telements. I hear a lot of people out there saying like, "Oh, Bestials are good for Telements too." Not really, dude. Like, one of the things about Bestials that you kind of want to do, and I'll get more into this in another video because I really got to do the tier list, but basically, you don't want to be fully reliant on the fact that your opponent's going to put light and dark monsters in the graveyard. Bestials banish light and dark monsters in the graveyard. So that means there's going to be a lot of counter decks to Bestials that aren't going to play any light and dark. Emancipator is a good example because that's also already a great deck against Telements. Flaunderies, like there's a lot of decks that might not fall into that. So to play the hand trap version, so you either got, like, Telements can only play the hand trappy version, which is like 3 or 4 of the Bestials. Obviously, the 2 one-ofs and maybe a Saranir and a Baldrake, but they're not playing the Lubellion. They're not playing the full package. And one thing I didn't really came out, I knew a little bit about the Bestials. I knew in the TCG, whatever. But I really thought it was just like these pseudo hand traps that can also be sort of like a small little tight engine that could be decent. But no, dude, this engine is good. This engine is good. You wouldn't think it, but the engine is ridiculous if you could get it at full capacity. And I'll be doing a video about my punk deck, which is my favorite combo deck because I usually play control decks. Believe it or not. Boo, I know. But no, I love the punk deck, and now the punk deck has become 10 times better because the bestials just fit so well. We have so much room that we could literally play the entire bestial package, which consists of basically 10 or 11 cards. The 3 Lubellion, I would say 2 or 3 Saranir, 2 Baldric if you want, or one if you play 3 Saranir, and then you got the 2 1-ofs. You got 9 monsters, and then you get the 2 spells and traps: the branded beast, the branded regain. That's it. Boom, you got it right there. And it's just so good like that way. So much better than the hand trap version. And Telements can't play that. And Telements also can't play. They can't banish their own monsters. They don't want to. I mean, they can. They just don't want to because they use them to fusion from the grave. So it's not great for them. It's just not. So let's get into it. But first, let's break down these tiers. So, like I said, tier 0 was the last meta. I think we are now out of tier 0. That's why I didn't put a tier 0 here. It's just not where we are anymore. We're back to sort of a tier 1 meta, and that doesn't mean there's going to be a lot more decks in tier 1, but they will be. To me, as we go through it, I'll say there's at least one more. I think maybe two more on top of Telements, because Telements is, of course, even after all the hits, the Ishizu hits, the terraforming, the bestials coming in, they're still somehow a tier 1 deck. But guess what? I'm going to tell you what right now. They are grasping for straws. They are panicking. After the games I've played, I've been playing a lot of games lately. Since bestials came out in the ban list, I played probably like 40 games, I'd say. Maybe it's not a ton, but it's a good amount. And I haven't seen nearly as many Telements, and a lot of them are Telements branded or Telements something else, hybrid Telements. And anybody that's coping and playing full Telements are putting weird techie things, and they look real desperate. I played a kid who had Rainbow Bridge of Salvation with the Crystal Beast Tortoise, and it's just pathetic. Played people who playing cards that basically like some Garnet Dragon that they were playing that no deck would ever play, just so they could get to a Psychic End Punisher. No, sorry, dude. You're coping too hard. Take the L's, because guess what? Punk is probably stronger now. No, I'm just kidding. Punk is not stronger now, but it is a lot stronger. And I did destroy that kid with my Punk deck. I didn't let him breathe. Punk Bestials, that is. All right, so tier 1. All right, tier 1, we have meta defining. This is the meta defining tier. These are the top decks. These are the ones. And by the way, everything I say you take with a grain of salt. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I'm not I'm not a pro player or anything like that. But I do know a lot of these decks and the game pretty damn well. And I just wanted to do this just because fun, and I think it'd be interesting. And I want people to also have a full 60 card new meta, because we got the shift, and it's important. And it's a pretty big shift, by the way. And I think everybody should have a representation here. Even if you play something like freaking, well, I don't have Exodia on here. I'll tell you that right now. Any FTK deck, I don't have it on here. So it's like, I would have put them in What Are We Doing? Or Pilot Needed, in a very rare case, at the bottom of Pilot Needed. So, yeah, we don't have that. But we have almost everything you could think of that are at least somewhat relevant. All right, so you have meta defining, then you have top contenders is tier 2. So these are decks that are either like, they're good decks, solid decks. They might not be the best in the current meta, or maybe they took a recent hit, or maybe they recently got boosted and were previously a rogue deck, and the bestials helped them out a lot. Well, like I said, maybe it's a top deck that the bestials hurt, but I doubt that. That won't be the case. All right, then you have 3, quietly competitive. I put, because I think tier 3 is an interesting tier. I think this is where I like my decks to be. I don't like being in the top. I don't like the top decks ever, because I hate the fact of playing mirror matches. I think it's just kind of boring and sacky. And then I also think that everyone else you play is playing the meta hate, and that means it's just a direct counter to your deck. So it's like, I don't know. I guess it could have been fun with Telements because they could. It doesn't even matter. They just probably play through everything because it's so toxic and dumb. But whatever. In general, everybody knows what you're doing too. Like I like to surprise my opponents with some weird shit sometimes. Top contenders is cool. I'd play some of those. Obviously, Punk, I think is spoiler alert. I think they might be in this tier. I'm not coping. Huff and copium. No, I'm not coping. I think that they really did get a lot of stronger, and I've been play testing it a lot. Trust me. All right, 3 is quietly competitive, so that's like it's like they're better than Rogue, or they have like real potential to be better than Rogue, and to be a good deck. Maybe they're heading in the right direction. Maybe they're missing a piece or two that could really put them over the top. Things like that. And then Rogue is a lot like quietly competitive, except Rogue right now are decks that are really hurt by the meta, or really hurt by just not having enough support, or um, the deck's just not. There's just no really great way to play the deck right now. With other cards, or maybe it's a floodgate deck, and since all the floodgates are one, it kills the deck and it becomes rogue. But there's still good rogue decks out there. You could still win with rogue decks, and that's why I put pilot needed, because you need a really good pilot for these decks. You can't just go out there, play them, and they're just going to win for you like Telements. The push-up bra for bad players, Telements. Brandon Despia too, maybe. Pilot needed. So you got to be good if you're going to play the rogue. So definitely not recommended for new players in this category, I would say. Right? You're probably going to look more at tier 2, tier 3, because budget is going to be an issue too. But we'll get into that. And then the last category, of course, everyone's favorite category. What are we doing? I didn't know what else to name it. Could have been the meme tier. Could have been the unplayable tier. It could have been the consider building something else. I don't know, whatever. But it is, what are we doing? Because that's what I would say to you. What are we doing playing this deck? If I play a deck and it's something like that's so obscure and doesn't make sense, what are we doing? Right? All right, let's get into it before this gets way too long. All right. This is not really in any order. It's kind of in alphabetical order, but I started moving things around because I didn't want like too many bad decks in a row, too many good decks in a row, because I want to keep it interesting. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we're going to break this down, by the way, also is, like I said, the name of the tiers are going to help you understand a lot, but also I'm thinking about like popularity, like how often I've been seeing these decks playing, but like obviously I have like a 40 game sample size. Then you have how powerful you think the deck is, because there's some decks on here that are actually really powerful but aren't that popular. And then you got decks that are completely flying under the radar. So this is a combination of things. I think it's power level more than anything, more than popularity. So if you want to know what decks are good, what decks are good right now, what decks are popular, not popular, which decks are strong and capable, and have so many different ways to do things, depending on the strategy, then that's what this really is based on. Like popularity is going to play a factor, but obviously the really good decks are popular anyway. I mean, there's a bunch of meta sheep out there, and we hate to see it. But no, I'm kidding. All right, so Blackwings. Blackwings. Did you guess them all already, by the way? I hope you're looking at them and guessing, because that's what you should be doing. No, pay attention now. Blackwings. So Blackwings obviously got kind of popular for a hot second when the structure deck came out, which you could still grab for 500 gems, by the way. Just saying. There is one card in there I really like, actually. It's a tuner, rank 2 tuner that I kind of want to use in the Punk deck, just to get into right here, Mr. Blackwing Full Armor Master, a cracked card. That's the Royal Rare we got too, with all the new shit that just came out. But where does Blackwing belong? So I felt like at the beginning it could have been okay, but like Telements, of course, kills everybody. Like there's gonna be a recurring theme of well, this deck gets hurt by tailments. We're gonna hear that all the time, and this deck does. It can do some crazy combos. It could do some crazy synchro plays and go into all this Blackwing stuff. They got a ton of these spells that are not once per turn. I forgot the name of it, the Black Feather, whatever. Um, and they could do and they could even do like some crazy FTK stuff. But to get there, it takes a lot. And Ash can hit them, Imperm can kill them. Like all the standard hand traps can pretty much rock them up. So they could get to strong places. I just don't think that hold on one second. I just don't think that they are really that competitive. I'm thinking Rogue, high end Rogue, because they can certainly win games, but they're just the power. And once again, I said they're popular. And if it was also based on popularity, maybe tier 3, but no. Power level and all that stuff, consistency, hold the line, like how good is it at keeping its board and all that stuff. All that stuff are factors. And I just think Black Wings, it's a fun little deck to play. There's people who love Black Wings. They got some cool cards, and they do some crazy combos, but they combo off for so long and they do all this stuff. So like obviously a lot depends on if you're a combo deck player or if you're a control deck player. And obviously it's like being a Republican or a Democrat. Honestly, it's like each side hates each other. And then you got mid-range decks too, by the way. But I'm a control deck player, like at heart. Like in Masters Duel right now, I actually have 5 decks that I can play that are viable, and 4 out of the 5 are control to mid-range. Only my punk deck is a combo deck. So that just tells you. But I do love my punk deck. I really do. Combo's fun. It just takes a long time, and you do a million things, and there's so many. It could get frustrating for me, at least. I like just like setting a floodgate pass. Go ahead. Good luck. So yeah, there you go. Top of Rogue, I think. So a lot are gonna come behind it. So it's not a bad spot to be. If you're a Blackwing player, don't be too upset. And that's why 3 is interesting to me, because I feel like that's a workshop spot. That's tier 3 is a spot where it's like they're not bad, they're good. Because Rogue could be good too, but 3 is a spot where it's like the potential is really there. Usually that's where I'm going to put like these future potential good decks, and maybe some decks that might have got hit by the recent stuff. All right, Adamanticators. I got to hold this for a second. Adamanticators, and I put Block Dragon as the face of Adamanticators, even though most people put Researcher. But Block Dragon is cracked. It's a one of. It should be banned. Okay, the card should be banned. It's actually insane. It could just keep coming back from the grave over and over again, and especially in Adamanticator where it's all earth and rock. Dumb card. It's also a pretty fucking big body, and it's also like I mean, it gets you into so many plays. It just talk about a combo deck that could do a ton of stuff at Emancipator, but I feel like the board they end on can be ridiculous if you let them play through their whole first turn and you don't have hand traps. And this is another thing, by the way, alert, new player tip right here. If you're building a new deck, I suggest if you're going to spend, first of all, buy all the bundle packs if you're brand new. Buy all the bundle packs. They're worth it. They give you a bunch of staples too, guaranteed. Staples like Imperm, which is a card you need. I feel like it's necessary. It's a must play. Ash Blossom as well, another must play. So like to me, the 3 hand traps that are all must plays at 3 for most decks. Not all of them. Other decks could have things to replace them, or the engine is too big or whatever. But I feel like if you're going to be a pretty viable deck, you got to be able to play those 3 at 3 each. That's 9 spots. You can find 9 spots for those 3. I don't care if you're playing control or combo either, because it's just contemporary Yu-Gi-Oh. It's just modern Yu-Gi-Oh. You cannot just let your opponent build their board on their turn. The boards that are being built right now are insane. You have to be able to hand trap them and stop them at some capacity. You just have to. And that's why it's good the bestials are here, because now you got even more viable hand traps. So, but what makes Emancipator so good? First of all, it's just a good deck. It's automatically better than Blackwing, so it's already ahead of Blackwing. It's great in this meta. It was good in the tier zero. It was probably a top, honestly, probably top five, I want to say, in tier zero. In tier zero, it was Tearlaments, Fluandaries, Exorcister. Um, Sprite is still obviously really good, but then after that, what do you have? Emancipator. Branded wasn't really that great. I think Emancipator might have even been better, just considering the meta. It just does so well because it doesn't really use the graveyard like that. It does a ton of combos, excavations, has great cards, and I think it's just, it's got no dark monsters, no, it doesn't get hurt by the bestials now, so didn't really take a hit. But as tier limits, here's the thing you're going to realize about this meta shifting. And after the next meta shift, which will probably be next month or the next ban list, which hint, hint, for those of you who do love playing control like me, the best control deck in the game, Labyrinth, is getting a huge, huge support next month. So save your gems if you're interested in playing Labyrinth or you're a Labyrinth player, which I am heavily interested in, even though I play different control decks. I don't play Labyrinth right now. I'm definitely going to be looking into that. Super heavy trap deck and just a really fun strategy of a deck, but we'll get into that. Block Dragon, cracked. Emancipator, pretty cracked. Still a really good deck. I don't think it took too much of a hit after the Bestials thing. In fact, I think that you're going to have so many people either playing Bestials or that, um, you know, people who are going to use the full Bestial package, so they have to use a lot of light dark combos. And then you have other people, other decks that don't use a lot of light dark, and they still are playing Bestials just for other light and dark decks. So it's like this deck could get away with a lot just by running into all those types of decks because it does nothing to them. So, where do I put them? Are they top contenders? I think they're tier 3. I'm going to put them in tier 3 because they're really good, and a lot of it has to do with the meta, though. And as the meta shifts, and this is what I was trying to say, as the meta shifts from a tier 0, tier limits dominated meta, which I couldn't even believe tier limits when they first came out had not only terraforming, but they had 3 foolish burial, and they had their freaking king of the swamp, and they had all types of stuff, and that was really toxic. But they're still okay after all these hits. It's going down now. This was the first significant blow, I think, for Tealmans. Losing the Ishizus, getting to most of them to limited ban. The Bestials hurt really bad. Now they're playing like Tech Garnet cards that they didn't want to ever play before. And that's that. All right, let's move on. Ancient Warriors. You might be like, why? Why are we put them in tier 2? Why are we talking about Ancient Warriors? Well, I have a 60. It's a 60 deck tier list. Got to have 60 decks. And Ancient Warriors, I think, definitely deserves a spot in the top 60 for 2 reasons. One, because I've actually played them. Because there's going to be a lot of decks on this list that I haven't played. And like I said, obviously this is meta. This is recent. And so I'm talking about my last 40 games plus my last 4 months of playing. I'm including that because, you'd think you'd see stuff. But I never saw Ancient Warriors really much at all, maybe once in the last 3 or 4 months. But within the last week or so, maybe a little over a week now, since Bestials came out. And I think Ancient Warriors was part of this pack. Not quite sure. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments or in the chat. I think this is, weird because Ancient Warriors I've seen now 3 times within the last week or so. So it's like I went from seeing 0 to 3 times in the last week. Something's up with the Ancient Warriors. Are we heading back into a beat-down meta? Are we going to play pure beat-down Yu-Gi-Oh? Are we going back to a primitive caveman like state where we're going to be playing Ancient Warriors. Because let me tell you, this deck actually beat me twice. They're surprisingly good at getting to an OTK type position, getting big bodies on the field to just beat you down quick and fast. And a good pilot can definitely do that for you. So, like I just said, a good pilot is necessary for this deck to be good, but it can be viable. It can be competitive with a really good pilot, though. So it's Rogue. I would put it behind Black Wings, of course, because it's just not as good as a deck. I mean, interesting. It's something to look into if you're interested in like these big bopper Ancient Warrior, cool little cards, but not very great. Needs the pilot. Beatdown type deck. Interesting. Blue eyes, blue eyes, blue eyes, blue eyes. So sad. A lot. I mean, everybody loves blue eyes. I guess I don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. You might, if you're watching this and you watch a lot of different Yugi tubers, um, you might be this might be the first person you hear ever say that they don't like blue eyes. Because I think mostly everybody feels bad for them because they get no support. The support they get stinks. They got Jet Dragon, and that's about it. And that's all they got. Yeah, they can kind of coincide with the Bestials because they're dragons, but the deck's bad, man. And I think the deck is in What Are We Doing? No. I don't want to put it in What Are We Doing? It's bottom Rogue. Because you can get wins. You can win in silver, bronze, silver, and even get wins in gold pretty, especially now with a new rank, master rank. You could probably even make it high gold, and a really good pilot could take you probably 2 diamonds. But maybe that's why it should be in What Are We Doing? Because you know what? I don't even think a good pilot could take it to master. I really don't. So bottom Rogue. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll change that spot. Definitely nowhere past that. Wow, branded Despia. I'm putting him in. What Are We Doing for now? We're gonna put that's where we set him up. That's the on deck circle. What are we doing? Branded Despia. Interesting. This deck has gotten the most support from the new selection pack. Not by far, yes, by far, because Sprite got some support too, but not nearly as much as what Branded got. I mean, the Bestials and the Branded Regain, Branded Beast, all these cards are literally branded cards. So they were the big winners of the selection pack, like they needed it already. They were already a great deck. Why are we giving these great decks just more? Yes, I get it. You're trying to close the gap on the tier 0 meta of Telements. That makes sense. It'll make some stronger decks stronger, so it closes the gap, and that brings more variety to the table in terms of the actual meta game. So I like that. Yes, the meta is shifting in a positive direction, people. You heard it here first. No, probably heard it here like last, but the meta is shifting in the right direction, and hopefully I feel like Tielemans is in a spot where they're not that great anymore, and they're actually not that scary anymore. I am not scared of Tielemans anymore. I'm not dreading a Tielemans matchup anymore. I actually sort of look forward to it. That should tell you something. And also, the percentage of people playing tiers right now, since this stuff happened, all the new stuff, has dropped significantly. And I'll tell you that based on if you look at MasterDuelMeta.com, you go there and you look, you could tell that it dropped significantly. I mean, this deck was almost 60% played. Now it's down to like 23. The power level dropped to like 23 from like 60 something. It was insane. And also, it just, I haven't seen it. Like I said, I've probably played about 40 games in the new meta, and I've seen a pure version. And when I say pure, I mean the purest possible, because a lot of people playing Tielemans branded or something like that, right? Because I guess Tielemans fits everywhere because it's so good, right? And that's basically what happens with all these meta decks, by the way, all these combo meta decks and stuff. Like, they all just like make hybrids of each other because they're all so good at some capacity that you could put them together and make them really good sometimes. And it's just so stupid because Where's the variety in that? You know what I mean? Where's the identity of your deck in that? I play branded Telemant Sprite pile up, 60 card pile up. Oh, great, bro. So you're like the biggest meta whore in the world. So you just let's take all the top decks and put them together and show it off and watch you probably get smacked by like rogue decks left and right. No, just kidding. But Branded Despia is the biggest winner of the new meta stuff, ban lists, including the ban list, including the selection pack, of course. So they would be number one in terms of selection pack, but they are definitely to me, and I've seen a lot of people. I've been watching a lot of tier lists. People are struggling to put. I've seen people put them in tier one. I've seen people put them in tier two. I've even seen people say they're still in tier three. And I think people don't really know yet. We're still trying to figure it out, right? But the way I've seen it is it's definitely the most popular deck now. Some version of it, and mostly branded Bestials, but I'm getting, some Telements branded and some other stuff branded too, like some interesting stuff. But to me, branded is tier one. To me, it's borderline tier two. It's going to be in the bottom of tier one. It's not going to be. It's not the top deck. It's to me right now, a meta defining deck. Yes. If you're going to ask me, is Branded Despia meta defining right now? Yes, it is, because it has completely changed the meta, and the whole selection pack was about boosting this deck, and its Branded Despia was already really good. Yes, you can Ash Blossom their Branded Fusion and they lose, but I mean, a lot of decks are like that. A lot of decks have bottlenecks that you can just crack, and a lot. This is why Yu-Gi-Oh is a lot of skill, and this is why I like the game. I love the game because there are so many different viable ways to play, so many different strategies and styles. Even with two people could have the same archetype of deck, same type of deck, and they could have completely different play styles with different tech cards in their deck. There's so many ways to do it, and I think that's why I think it's really fun. So, especially just the whole strategies of what everyone does, and I think there's a lot of different people still trying to figure out the best branded bestial way to play. Like right now, it looks like branded bestial is the best way to play, and I think that is the best way to play. Cartesia and all that stuff. Keep it all branded. If you're gonna play a branded deck, keep it all branded, like all branded Despia stuff. Nothing else. No tiers, no sprites, none of this bullshit to try to be like cool or whatever. Like no, it's really strong the way it is. It's a tier one meta defining deck, and it has completely closed the gap between itself and even some other decks and Telements. So this might be the only time you see Branded Despia in the tier one spot. And obviously take this with a grain of salt, because if you don't agree, that's fine. But I think it's pretty obvious that they're either tier one or tier two. I think tier three is copium for people who hate branded, and I hate branded. I call it brain dead Despia, because you could be brain dead and play the deck and do well, because it really pretty much has the same line of play all the time. Same things it does. This time, I feel like now it has a lot more things going on. So I respect it. It's tier one right now. It's meta defining for sure. Crystal Beast. So let's put them on the deck circle. Crystal Beast. I love Crystal Beast. This is one of my 5 decks that I play, which when I run into them, I'll let you know more. But Crystal Beast was the deck that I think was my strongest deck, believe it or not, in the tier 0 meta. Now, Punk is my strongest deck. Whatever variant of Punk I play is definitely on paper, in a random meta or in a very balanced meta, Punk is definitely my best deck. But Crystal Beast was my best deck in the tier 0 meta, because Punk got hurt by tier 0. I had a lot of back and forth bullshit games with Punk. Winning the coin flip meant like everything. You know what I mean? Like, and the Punk build right now just wasn't. if you're playing pure punk, and I'm talking about pure punk, the build just doesn't. It's missing things. There's too much room, and the tech cards you play just aren't good enough. That's why we'll get into how the bestials affected them. And the answer is in a big way, big positive way. But Crystal Beast also kind of affected by bestials. Um, they get, they have Rainbow Dragon, Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, and that's a rank 8 light dragon monster. And bestials wants to utilize dragons, light or dark monsters, and use those to its advantage. The only problem is Lubellion wants to tribute a dark dragon, not a light. So that hurts there. But Lubellion, we could actually, with Magnamon, we could actually add a Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon right into hand with it, because that's what it does. It adds a dragon, not just a bestial. So there's now more, more searchability a little bit. It's a little copium because, like, the deck isn't really synergistic with bestials, but you can play them. I think you could at least play the hand trappy version of it. I don't think there's room in the deck because as a control deck, the control version of it, not using the stupid fusion monsters and all that stuff and all the advanced dark bullshit, using the basic, the Crystal Conclave, Crystal Miracle, and all the spells and everything. Very spell heavy and trap heavy deck, but it's really good when it works. And you can play D-Shifter with it. Okay. Barely uses the graveyard. The monsters, when they die, they always go to the spell and trap zone. When they die, when they get destroyed. And you can OTK very easily on the next turn using Ruby Carbuncle. It summons all the monsters from the spell and trap zone. And you just have so many good spells and traps that can find everything. The deck is so well synergistic. And it could also play Dimension Fissure. It could play, like I said, Shifter. It could play other hand traps too. It could play Evenly Matched. You could play, there can be only one, the Floodgate. That's a 2 of. Although right now I would say those things are just a little not good enough in this current meta. Too slow. You kind of need the hand traps. But believe it or not, Crystal, once again, not copium, but I think it's a good deck, man. I think it's solid, as really solid. Now, do I think things can change in the meta in the future and won't be as good? Possible. But I think the way it is right now, it's never going to get hit. It's only going to get more support at some point. I think the way it is now, its outlook is only looking good. But it leveled up a little bit because of the Telements, because it could play Necro Valley. Oh, Necro Valley is the other card. And it's got Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, which Telements actually plays that card to search their field spell because they're so desperate for it. We play it, and it's in archetype with Crystal Beast. And Rainbow Bridge of Salvation is amazing. You get a Crystal Beast to hand, and you get a Necro Valley, and then you basically win the game against Telements. I've beaten Telements so many times with Crystal Beast. I actually have a video on my Twitch that you could find in the clips or the highlights of me just annihilating somebody with Crystal Beast. But I digress. Crystal Beast, I think it's tier 3. I really do. I think it's certainly tier 3, probably bottom tier 3. I think it's a really good deck. Like, it's more than Rogue. Like, if you know how to pilot it right, which it's not too hard to pilot, but if you learn it and you have the right deck build, it's a very good deck right now. And it didn't get hurt too much by anything recently. The only thing that really kind of hurt it is, the bestials hurt Telements. And once again, this is just like Adamantipator. Tier 3 is going to be basically all the tier dependent decks. Just like Adamantipator, Crystal Beast is also sort of dependent a little bit on what happens with Telements as it down. Crystal Beast might not be as good, but it's still a good deck. I think it's good against, in general, a lot of decks. So, all right, let's get through this a little faster now. My bad. All right, Cyber Dragons in the on deck circle. I tried playing Cyber Dragons for a little while back. When Master Duel came out, it was actually a viable deck. It could be a really good deck. It's a going second deck. It wants to bring out, those Xyz monsters that negate, and then they OTK, and it just doesn't work though. it's an outdated deck. I feel like it needs more support. Maybe you want to play it in the Legend Anthology event. I'm sure it's really, really good in that event. But like, I played Crystal Beast actually. Um, I think it's just Rogue. I think there's no question about it. I think it's better than Blue Eyes. That's about it. So yeah, I wouldn't suggest building Cyber Dragon if you're new or anything like that. It's not that it's a complicated deck, but you don't want to struggle. I think tier 3 is going to be a good spot for you. Um, Dark Magician, everyone's favorite deck. Everyone's favorite deck. Everyone's deck that they want to play, and they love the anime. And Yugimoto, he freaking he played Dark Magician. That was his card. But it's like, dude, if you want to win, you don't play Dark Magician, right? I played Dark Magician for months when I first started. Months.